whatever he wanted. I mean, I still have dishes. I mean, we still use them.
Well, that's nice.
Well, yeah, and beds and tables. I mean, I still have some of those kind of things that were from Crooked Lake. So he was allowed to take out. Of course, they did in the wintertime when they came across the ice and the roads and in the snow. That's how they got them out of there.
Did you use, how did you get over the ice? I mean, it wasn't sled dogs and
No. They used tractor. What did they call it? I don't know. A weasel. That. Oh yeah, that's where you go in and out. Yeah. They use that to pull sleds. Yeah. And
Bombardiers too.
pardon?
Remember the Bombardiers that they had a enclosed snow track.
Yeah, with a track.
Bombardiers.
With a track. Yeah. Oh, they did too. That's right. I forgot about that. They did.
So you were going to school here during the school year, but did you ever go up in the winter?
Maybe I can remember going up there once or twice, but I didn't go. My dad went up there. We had a caretaker. I always give this man credit, Johnny Agnich. I don't know if you know him or anybody does, but I give him credit. He was a character. He was a bachelor, but he spent his whole time up there. Can you imagine being up there when ice is freezing and nobody can go up there? And then during breakup, when there's no way that anybody can, so he was alone. I mean,
That's nirvana for him.
Boy, it was. Think about that, man. And yet, being in the wilderness like up there, I mean, I'm sure he heard the wolves and and all the rest of it. But I always think, wow, to be alone up there. And like I say, the radio reception was pretty iffy. Sometimes you got it, and sometimes you didn't. So. But then my dad would fly. Yeah.
What year did you guys leave Crooked Lake?
Well, the resort he sold it in '56, but then he was allowed to use one cabin for 25 years. So we used one cabin for 25 years.
After that?
After '56.
So in '64, when the Wilderness Act, because if everyone ever gets a chance, Steve, I think you still sell the book, Saving Quetico Superior by Newell Searle. It's probably one of the best stories. It talks about your father selling and builds up Crooked Lake. Crooked Lake was one of the pivot points. It was the last one, the last few to go fastest had gone. And I didn't realize they had given you a grandfather.
Yeah, we were there for 25 years, and of course, but you couldn't fly it.
No. But there
had
was a
paddle.
cabin there for 25 years after '56.
Yeah, there was one small cabin left. But we paddled it. And at that time, of course, we could still use motors too.
Up until '82.
Yeah. So when we'd go up, Jim would maybe get off of work and we'd jump in the canoe and he'd have a square stern and off we'd go. Yeah.
Did your dad and the guides do anything organized in the winter, or did they just go up to fish when they wanted to? Or
The guides?
yeah, did they have any organized winter
No.
people coming in?
Well, yes, they did, because during the winter is when they made ice, because we had a great big ice house that they kept the fish in. And at one time, in the early years, we had to literally have ice box. I mean, when we didn't have electricity, we had literally an ice box. So they would go up in the winter and make ice and cut wood, because every cabin had a small wood burning. That's how they heated it. So they did. And some of them were the guides, some of them were year-round. They worked for my dad year-round.
Did you have just like kerosene lanterns and stuff in the cabins?
To begin with, but then later they had, like I say, electricity.
With the
Yeah,
generator?
with a generator. My dad had a generator. Yeah, right up there.
Helen, was there a healthy moose and wolf population there at that first?
I don't know. I guess. I mean, I heard wolves. That was I heard a lot of howling. And when I, especially in the evening time, I would so assume so.
I think at that time too, there was a lot of shooting of the wolves. There was a
Well,
bounty.
I think the bounties, I don't know when the big wolf bounty went on, when it started.
In the 60s.
I mean, I did bring that picture. There was a picture that I had on my dad, and they do some airplanes. Shoot, I mean, it made me sick when I saw it, but that's what they did. That was the days in the early 40s or late 30s and early 40s. That's what they did. And they had a bounty on them, and they got paid for it. And they needed the money because it was Depression times, and yeah. But thank goodness they put, yes.
Do you have any recollections of any, were there any emergencies, like fire emergencies or medical emergencies?
Oh, yes, I do remember, fires, yes. We had either, sometimes on the Canadian side, and yes, and we would have the fire station at Curry Lake, at the resort, because it was easy for them to get wherever they had to go. Medical emergencies, that happened. That happened a few times, yes. Yeah, we had canoe parties that had come through, and of course, Friday Bay gets very, very windy. I mean, if it comes from the northwest, those waves are enormous. And we had, I can remember 2 different incidents where canoe parties tipped over, and of course they lost everything. No fatalities, but they did lose everything, and they got them into the resort, and then they.
How long was the flight from Ely to?
How long was the flight? 20 minutes? From Ely to?
10 to 15.
Yeah, 20 at the most, yeah. We're just a hop, skip, and a jump.
Where'd they get all the big rocks for that fireplace, and what happened to them? Did they disperse them?
The rocks
How'd they lift them?
from the fireplace were rocks from around there. This John Brown was able to, however he did it, he made the fireplace out of the rocks from the area. Yeah.
Helen, you know John Brown's nickname, right?
No, what is it?
Rockaday Brown.
Rockaday, well, that was him.
You can tell how long it took him to build that chimney if you just count the rocks.
Yeah. Well, it took him a little while then because it was very big. Yeah. So, yes.
Did you catch any big fish? Do you remember any
Yeah,
guys bring in big fish?
The fishing up there, that was a big table between the guides. It was pretty competitive because they had a board up there, walleye. If you were 8 pounds or more, you got your name on it, or northerns if it was 15 pounds or more, and oh yes, there were some big fish caught up there. Yeah, I even caught one of 8 pounds something walleye one time, and I was so proud of it. And I remember my dad coming to me, and evidently one of the guests didn't get the limit when we were flying out. You wouldn't mind giving your fish.
Take advantage of a little kid,
But yeah.
Prior to him buying the resort, what was his occupation?
My father came from a little town in Willard, Wisconsin, in the 20s on a motorcycle, mind you. Because he came from a family of 13, and of course somebody had to leave because they had to feed these mouths. And he came up here because there were other people from that town up in Ely, and he came to work in the mines. Well, he spent 1 week in the mines, and that was it. He had to be outdoors. He was just an outdoor person. He was a mechanic. So we ended up working, we used to have what they called the Fort Chevrolet garage in town, and that's where he started. He was a mechanic. And then, of course, this resort. When you're young, you don't realize, you go to the resort and you do this. But now when you reflect back on it, you wonder, he put a lot of work into it. I mean, he built that with his own hands, that resort, by himself. But it really was a big chore, big job. And how they did it is beyond me when I look back at it. Yeah. But he was a mechanic, and then after the resort closed,